Hello everyone! Recently, we've celebrated the 7th birthday of PCMR at PAX East in Boston with a glorious panel hosted by Corsair. At the panel, we talked about the community, our love for PCs, and many other hot topics. Our panelists from left to right are the Apple Freak, PCMR Moderator, Pedro, founder of PCMR, Glorious George, Community Marketing Specialist at Corsair, Miss Magitech, Community Manager at Corsair, Steve, a tech YouTuber from Gamers Nexus, Bitwit Kyle, a PC tech YouTuber, and Noramu, a Radeon Community Manager at AMD. We'd like to thank them all for being with us that day, and the links to their channels are in the description. Thanks for tuning in, and we hope you enjoy the panel.
Are you excited? Awesome. So my name is Tracy, and I am the community manager at Corsair, and I will be moderating this panel. But these guys all here are the stars of the show, so we will start off just asking. I'll ask them some general questions, and we'll open it up for Q&A for any of you guys to ask questions later on. You might have seen a postcard on your seat when you entered. So everybody who's here is going to get a PCMR birthday pin. Is that cool? No, I know those weren't the pins themselves, but if you just fill out the card, put your name, your email, everything, and come to the Corsair booth anytime for the rest of the weekend, they will give you a pin if you bring this card in. And if you will not be here for the rest of the weekend, find us after the panel, not here in the room, but we'll be right outside, and we'll give you a pin now if you won't be here for the rest of the weekend. But if you will be, come to the Corsair booth. It's that first booth right when you go down the escalators if you guys haven't seen it already. So I will go ahead and get started with everybody. So first, let's do some introductions. So we'll start down here with you, Kevin. Tell us your name, your handle, what you do, and tell us what your favorite thing about PC gaming is.
So hi everybody, my name's Kevin. Some of you might know me as Noramu. I currently am the Radeon Community Manager at AMD, and I handle a lot of our social channel stuff, and I'm also the lead community manager for our AMD Red Team, if anyone is a member of that, which you all should be. Previously, you might recognize my handle. I used to work at Kingston and HyperX and at Cooler Master years ago as well. And so I've been around shilling for everyone. But yeah, and my favorite thing about PC gaming is options. Like, just options.
How's it going, everyone? I'm Kyle. I have a YouTube channel called Bitwit. It's a PC DIY tech-focused channel, and we basically do hardware reviews, a lot of testing. We do the occasional sketch comedy that has to do with tech. We like to keep things casual and lighthearted. We will occasionally vlog. That's very popular on YouTube right now, and like just Let's Plays and a bunch of other stuff. But my favorite thing about PC gaming is probably the social element, being able to interact with people and meet new people online from the comfort of your own home in your underwear. That's awesome.
Hey, I'm Steve from Gamers Nexus. I'm the opposite of casual and don't believe in fun, basically. We do highly technical computer hardware reviews, and favorite thing about PC gaming is seeing how stuff works, graphics options and stuff like that.
Okay, George?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Glorious George. I make memes for a living. I don't know how that happened, but I'm really grateful for it. And yeah, I work for Corsair as well. Somehow they pay me to do that. And I haven't told them that's a bad idea yet. Hopefully they're not here. So, but yeah, no, I really enjoy doing it. And I think the part I love most about PC gaming is it's a commitment. You know, you buy a PC game and you own it for life. And that means a lot to me. And the audience and the people who are into PC gaming, it's a long-term commitment. You don't unlearn how to build a PC, so.
Hello everyone, my name is Pedro. I come from Portugal, so please excuse my accent. I'm the founder of PCMasterRace. I founded PCMasterRace 7 years ago. It's a wonderful community. I hope many of you are part of it. If you're not, maybe you will consider becoming part of it. I hope we can make you be part of it. Well, on what concerns PC gaming, I think the tweaking is the best part. The fact that you can make a PC in your own image, regardless of your tastes. You can try to go for beauty over power, the power over beauty, and you can really make it your own. I think that's very special about PC gaming, and you can find it anywhere else.
It's a hard act to follow up. I'm Francis. You probably know me as the Apple Freak. I am one of the senior moderators on PCMR. Yeah, I help out with a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff, a lot of it. But like Pedro, one of the things that I really like about PC gaming is the customizability and I guess the freedom, essentially. I tweak the hell out of everything. I am the person that voids warranties. And to have a platform that lets me do that without incurring, network bans from, say, PlayStation Network, or I guess also network bans from Microsoft. Having the platform to do all that and to really make it our own, that really is special to me.
Awesome. So before we dive into the questions here, just to give you guys a little background about PCMR, maybe George or Pedro, you guys can kind of explain. How many of you are PC users or active PC gamers? I would hope everybody in this audience would be. Good. And how many of you are like active community members or follow the subreddit RPCMR? Okay, good, good. Quite a few of you. So for those of you who may not be as familiar, but you're into PC gaming, you like PC building, and are kind of just curious about this panel, maybe one of you guys could explain a little bit more about it, of what PCMR is, the subreddit.
You want me to do it, or? Okay, yeah.
You can do it both.
Yeah, so PCMR is a community of dedicated PC gamers and enthusiasts, and also people who don't even own a PC but want to get into it. It welcomes everybody, and there are over 1,300,000 subscribers on it currently on Reddit. Reddit, if you haven't been to it, is the 4th most visited website in the United States. And so it's been growing really crazily, and it's a really great community of dedicated fans. But I think Pedro can say more. And by the way, I want to thank him for being here, because no one's ever seen Pedro before in person. And I thought he was Kaiser Soze for a while. And then I met him in person, and if I find out later that he's actually a spy, that's going to make a lot of sense, because it still is like unreal that you're here. So,
thank you.
Yeah. But I think you can explain what the PCMR is to you, I think, a little bit better.
Yeah. Well, the PCMR is what you want to make of it. Everyone has their general idea about PC gaming. What we are, and we try to be every day, is a friendly community. We want to be a place where everyone can share anything remotely PC related without any special fears. We like to have a lot of fun, as most of you know, the members of the community know. Friendly banter. We laugh at ourselves as well as we laugh at others sometimes, all in a friendly manner. But I think that's the bottom point of what PCMR is. We are a friendly community. We welcome everyone who wants to learn a bit more about what it is to game, and not only game on PC. Sometimes people forget that PCMR isn't just about gaming. Some people don't really like gaming, but they like the tweaking, the building PCs, the technology, or they just use PCs for their work, for their editing, not for gaming. And that's important too. And I think that's the bottom line of what we are. We were created about 7 years ago. I don't think there was a place at the time quite like us, a place that wasn't exclusively about technology. All places that existed were a bit too tech, not that it's bad, but you miss the part of the fun part of being a PC enthusiast, the memes. We have the meme master here with us. And I think we together, we've changed throughout the years, but we can hopefully continue to grow as we have. I hope you enjoy the community, and if you don't, we're here to listen to what you have to say about it, and perhaps maybe make some changes.
Awesome. So my next question is kind of for all of you. What is it that attracted you guys to PC building, PC gaming, or just being part of the PCMR community? What do you like most about it?
Morrowind. I built my first PC for Morrowind. I'm a huge fan of the Elder Scrolls series. I was playing it on Xbox. I was a big Halo fan, all that stuff. Growing up, all console gaming. But then, like, I had a friend who had a decent, half-decent gaming PC who later got me into things like Ultima Online and all that, and my life just sunk. But anyway, he loaded up Morrowind on his machine, and I was like astounded by like how much better it looked on his rig than it did on Xbox. And so I was like, let's go, let's do this. And so I totally did. And the first thing I remember after getting my rig together, getting the game loaded up, that game opens up, you're like on a boat, and you walk into the town and stuff. And I just remember how good the water looked compared to Xbox. And then like 3 weeks ago, I loaded up Morrowind just because I was feeling like it. And I'm like, wow, this water looks awful. But Morrowind.
That's a beautiful answer. So I actually first got into PC building and that whole community after I got a job at Newegg. That was my first job out of college. Newegg's kind of like the PC hardware version of Amazon, for those of you who don't know. And within the first couple months of getting a job there, I learned a lot of what I know now about PC hardware from a guy named Paul, who has his own YouTube channel, Paul's Hardware. And he taught me a lot of stuff, and I just started getting really engaged in it to the point where I was like, I want to build my own computer. I want to do it. I'm surrounded by all this hardware now. You've told me all the benefits. I know how to do it. I want to do it. So I remember I bought all my parts and brought them home one day, and I just assembled the whole thing watching Paul's tutorial on YouTube. It's very good still, till this day. And I just remember the feeling of booting it for the first time, watching all the fans spin up and the lights turn on. It's pretty cliche, but it was like lighting up the Christmas tree on Christmas morning or whatever. There was something magical about it, and then and I was like, wait, now I get to game on it. This is even better. Like, it just kept going, and then I've kind of been hooked on it ever since. Hence the YouTube channel. So yeah.
Did it work on first boot?
Yes.
I think probably I'll bridge off your answer. Jedi Academy was what really got me into it. I played a lot of Caesar 3 and stuff like that, all the city builders, but when I started playing Jedi Knight, Jedi Academy, I think that's when I discovered modding. So texture packs and skins for characters, which is also, I think, where I learned what a zip file was and how to use it to mod the game. So that was probably the major stepping stone. And then Morrowind, I don't remember if Morrowind came out before or after, but played that as well. I had a different experience from you. I love Morrowind. However, when I started the game, you talk about, you know, the boat on water and all of that. None of the water rendered for me. So it may have been beautiful for some of us. But no, that was when I discovered I needed to replace the video card, I think. I think that was my first experience with changing hardware parts specifically to play a game, because it just didn't work. So it's one of those, you know, you start in it because out of necessity, I guess, in my case, and then find out that actually this is really cool and a lot of fun.
Actually, I just want to ask real quick, 1v1 on Bespin, no force powers? We're going to do that Jedi Knight later? Yeah. Sound good? Okay, let's do it.
Corsair
yeah, Jedi Knight, that came a little bit later for me. I started with StarCraft, which that's also Tracy's answer, I bet. And StarCraft got me hooked. I was in my bedroom for a long time playing that, and then I think that that brought me into it. And then Half-Life came out, Half-Life 2, and that was like, well, I guess this is where I live now. So yeah, I actually used to be a big Xbox gamer a long time ago. I was big into the Gears of War community, and it got to a point where I realized, man, like, it would be nice if I could keep these games. Every time there's a new console generation, I had to sell everything. And after doing that once, I was just like, no, I'm not doing this again. So then I dedicated myself to PC, and here we are. I got to hear your answer, Pedro. Go. I got to hear it.
My answer isn't as glamorous, I don't think. I started with PC gaming in the late 80s. I was maybe 4 or 5 years old. It was on a system that I don't think it was very popular in America. It's called a ZX Spectrum. I'm not sure if many of you have heard about this system. What brought me into it was the fact that you can actually code your own games. You bought magazines, and you code the games in I think, Sinclair Basic, like a variation of the the basic coding language. And you could create small games. And that complexity is something you really couldn't have in any other kind of system. Later on, in the early 90s, on what concerns mainstream gaming, one can argue that there wasn't any very obvious advantages about gaming on PC as compared to consoles, on what concerns mainstream gaming. But the more complex games were exclusive to PC, as they mostly still are today. Games like Civilization, the first Civilization, Civilization 2, Ultima, like a game that wasn't popular here, that's Championship Manager, games about managing football teams, you call it soccer. That brought me into this, and you really can't do that in any other system. It's just too complex. It's impossible, almost impossible to control without a proper keyboard, a proper mouse, and it brought me into PC gaming.
My answer is a little less. I'm not sure if it's glamorous or anything, but I started out with PC gaming like what I do nowadays. By fixing the damn things. I work in IT, and I have a very long history with doing so. I remember probably when I was maybe 5 or 6 years old, my parents, they had an old IBM PC. I don't remember any of the details about it, but they tell me that at one point they couldn't get to turn on, and I was able to somehow figure it out. But it was just sort of like that hands-on feeling that, wow, I can actually change this. I can make all of it run. Well, that's more how I got into PC generally, but what really got me into PC gaming, per se, was Halo. I had always, for a number of years, I went to summer camp. And they had a Mac lab, hence my name, the Apple Freak. They had a Mac lab, and when we would finish doing our work, we would all load up the demo version of Halo Combat Evolved, and we would have, glorious, LAN parties. And it was just that communal feeling of being able to physically punch the person who killed you with that total bullshit sniper. It really ignited a love for PC gaming for me. And that really lived all throughout. The games came and went. I played SimCity a whole lot, competitively actually, if you can imagine competitive SimCity.
There's a competitive SimCity?
Yeah,
that's
competitive
a thing?
SimCity.
How do you just compete in building as fast as you can?
Well, it was run by a group called Future Cities. I don't remember all the details, but essentially they wanted, at the time, they wanted kids to begin getting into architecture, engineering, city planning. And SimCity was kind of one of the best avenues for it. So
That's pretty cool.
I'm getting away from myself.
Sorry, I was just curious.
Yeah,
I've never heard that
I
before.
could ramble about this for ages. But, it was really a lot of simulation, a lot of building. I got my hands on it. I crafted it. It became mine. And then, Steam for Mac came out, 2010, I think. TF2 came with it. I started playing that, and, well, here I am. I became addicted to it, and I can't leave. Please help.
So my next question, any of you guys can answer. You don't all have to, but I'm curious how you guys see with our current culture in gaming. Do you think that gaming culture has shifted more towards PC gaming, or do you still think there's a really solid console gamer community, or do you think maybe PC gaming is a lot more relevant now than it was? What do you guys think?
I mean, certainly, we have a panel. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is good.
Well, let me start. Well, I think Many of you will remember how it was a few years ago, the dark times of PC gaming, when gaming on PC was considered, not truly so, but considered to be very hard to set up. No, only very complex games are on PC. Of course, that's a lie, but that's what people thought it was. I don't think we took too much attention. People didn't notice as much, and I think that has changed tremendously in the last, I say, 4 or 5 years.
I disagree, though.
Yeah.
You did have Crysis. I mean, everyone knows that you can't build a PC that can run Crysis, even today. It's simply impossible. And there was a lot of debate at the time over whether or not it was possible. You had scientists at CERN, and they were studying it. They were trying to figure out how can we run this at 1280 by 1024 on ultra settings, but results were inconclusive. Dark times indeed.
They were dark times. I don't think any PC can run Crysis right now at Ultra. No, that's impossible.
Not without graphics cards.
Oh yeah. But what I think is now we are here, and we're here to stay, I think. And I think everyone is taking notice of PC as a platform. And I think that's only good. If companies, if personalities cater to us, we'll probably all have a better experience. So that's a win. I think that's great.
I think as far as PC gaming currently versus consoles, first of all, I guess there's nothing wrong with playing on consoles. It's totally valid. I don't know that PC gaming's been smaller than consoles in terms of market share for a number of years. I think last I checked, 2013, PC surpassed the 3 major consoles combined in software revenue for game sales. So in terms of the PC community, it's been ahead of consoles for a while. I don't think there's anything wrong with playing on consoles or anything like that. But I guess as far as dark times, the current memory and graphics card market probably is not too great for growth of PC gaming. Yeah. We can kind of see that on the tech reviewer, or in your case, influencer. Side, where I don't know if you see this, but you track affiliate sales, right, through Amazon or whatever else. Yeah. And I've definitely seen a downtrend in graphics card and memory purchases and things like that, and a downtrend in memory capacity too. Most of our users bought 16 gigabytes 2 years ago. Now they're on 8. Yep. So PC gaming's in good health, but also the current market's not good for it.
Yeah, and I think, that's definitely true. The state of PC gaming is a little rough right now, with, all the crazy mining stuff and shortages with video memory and whatnot. But I think it's temporary. I think eventually things will get better for us. And it's interesting that you bring up like the software sales combined for all the consoles didn't even outweigh for PC. And then you kind of wonder, like, well, then why do I keep seeing like Xbox and PlayStation 4 ads everywhere, and like where's all the PC stuff? I think it's because like those are like finished goods, Yeah. Like with a PC, you're literally combining 8 or 9 or 10 components together, and it's kind of harder to sell a single part of something bigger to a mainstream audience, because they're like, what's the motherboard do?
There's no unified marketing force.
Yeah, exactly.
All the component vendors are trying to kill each other. So.
Right. Yeah. It's a bloodbath. But I think in the grand scheme of things, I feel like people are drawn to gaming now more than ever because of like I mentioned earlier, like social interaction, and I feel like that's taking place at a much faster rate and a much more effective rate on the PC platform, because with the advent of social media and online gaming, and just the ability to do more on the PC platform, you can stream. Obviously you can stream very much more effectively on PC and have multiple monitors. Like you were saying, options, right? You have options, and I think people are slowly catching on to that. So I think even though we're in a rough patch right now, we're still overall growing.
Yeah.
So unlike maybe some other communities, some would say that PC gaming or just PCMR is almost like a lifestyle more than anything else. It's not just, it's not just a fandom, it's our life. How would you guys say that, PC gaming has defined your lifestyle or PCMR? It's a deep question.
I live in
know.
a computer, and I drive a computer, and wear computer parts.
Yeah, I work at AMD.
For most of us up here, it would definitely be more than just a hobby. It's our job.
Yeah. And I mentioned earlier, I used to work at Kingston and Cooler Master. Like, that's been my professional life. So, yeah, I also live on and drive and move around computers for a living.
You thought I was joking. I was being serious.
Yeah. Same thing. I mean, every hour, every day is something to do with computers. Mostly work related. I like doing it, but also I wouldn't say defines my life or my lifestyle as much as is my life.
Makes sense. So what about for you guys? So you guys are all on PCMR all the time. I mean, George is browsing Reddit at work like 90% of the time. Sorry, I don't mean to call you out on this.
He's browsing it right now.
He's on it right now. No. But how did you guys say like that PCMR has really impacted your life?
I think it's the biggest way that PC gaming itself has directly impacted my life based on you can tell when my finance when they fluctuate based on when there's Steam sales. That's been unhealthy. That or when there's a new graphics card released, or when Threadripper came out, that was bad. I think it's kind of opened my eyes to a larger community, and that's why I spend all my time there. So.
Well, on a personal basis, I am here, and this is my first time in this country, and I'm honored to be here. So it changed my life. It has. Thank you. I think, disregarding the personal part, I think when you are a PC, not just gamer, but enthusiast, it says a little bit about other facets of your life, because you're a person who probably doesn't care about losing maybe a few minutes of your time so as to improve everything around you. Like, you like to tweak, you like to make things around you better, and you're not afraid to do so. You like the hassle. It's not a hassle for you. And I think that says a lot about you and your personality.
Well, I mean, I also work directly in the technology sector, so my life is sort of dominated by PCs. But as for PCMR, and oh god, I have so many stories to tell. But for another time. PCMR has really been a shaping force on my life. It's opened, well, first, being a mod, it's opened my eyes to a lot of the back and forth in the industry, but that in itself is something that comes with the territory. But where things kind of changed in ways that I didn't expect was the skills that I gained from it. So, as I mentioned, I work in IT. And a lot of the stuff I learned building PCs, experimenting with different configurations, different software, all the hassles, all the tweaking, it directly actually words, what are they? They directly impacted my ability to problem solve, to figure out what's going on. One example would be Auto Moderator. I am one of the, if you guys have ever interacted with PCMR, you've probably run into AutoMod here or there. We have some really complex code on the back end there. And scarily enough, I was actually the person who wrote a good chunk of that. It really is a terrifying thought when you think about it. But the skills I gained from that, mostly, especially regular expressions. Yeah. Oh. Regular expressions. You know the pain. I mean, you should take a look at some of the code that I've written for work. Legitimate stuff that actually makes money and helps people do their jobs. My code is powering that. That's terrifying. Like, please. If PCMR wasn't that big of a, that big of a part of my life, perhaps the healthcare industry may be a little safer. Please, get me away from it, please.
50 million people would be dead right now if it wasn't for PCMR, okay?
So I do have more questions that I want to ask, but we have about 30 minutes left in the panel, so I really want to open it up to questions from you guys. So if anybody in the audience has questions, now is the time. Raise your hand. I don't know. Do we have a mic?
Yep, right in the middle.
In the middle.
Oh, so if you want to just come up, should we have a line? What do you guys think? How about we have you line up and ask questions? That would be awesome. And then if there's more time, I'll ask the rest of my questions.
If you say first, I will kill you.
First.
You called my bluff.
Okay, so very partial two-part question. What is your favorite hardware, and what is your favorite software modification for a game or whatever?
Favorite, what was the second part? Favorite?
Hardware and favorite software modification.
Software modification, hardware modification. Clearly AMD, otherwise I'm going to get it, apparently. Hardware modification, I guess the first one I did is probably my favorite. I had an Antec, I think it's called a Super Landboy. It came out in early 2000s, and had an acrylic side panel on it. The system was having over temperature issues, so I took a 120 millimeter hole saw and drilled some holes into the acrylic panel. That's where the thermal testing started. So that's probably my favorite modification on hardware. Favorite modification on software, I guess, would just be all the testing tools we have in-house. We've written a lot of those internally. So that's just all Python and batch files and stuff like that. It's really cool to see it all work and do automated testing.
It's actually weird. A lot of my favorite stuff that, like software or hardware modifications, I can't talk about because they end up becoming official. So like I did a lot of software work to help. We have an integration with Far Cry now for Corsair hardware. So if you have our latest software, it'll all the lighting on your PC will change to match the game. And I did a lot of the work on that, and now it's a real thing. So I don't even know if I get to call it a mod because it's yeah. So.
It's a product now.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
I did. I had this case that I rebuilt my PC for when I moved off to college. That I can't remember. It was like a Thermaltake armor or a Cooler Master half case, one of those two, because that was the cool full towers at the time. And it had this blue LED that was in the front that was like 6 million lumens or something, and it aimed directly at my bed at night, and it lit up the room. It was too much, and at the time I was working in an electronics lab in the campus, and I had access to like all of our ordering guides, and so I totally ordered like these purple LEDs, which are really expensive for LEDs, by the way. Like red LEDs are like maybe 3 cents if you're buying them in bulk. Purple are like 7. I know, it's nuts. And so I bought this like purple LED because purple doesn't really translate well for LEDs, and it's great because it replaced that. And that was my favorite hardware mod of all time. Software, for my first iPhone, for like iPhone 3 or something like that, I don't know. I totally jailbroke the thing back when that was a thing that was relevant. And I ripped out all the sounds from the PC version of Final Fantasy VII and modded all the files in the iPhone with Final Fantasy VII noises. Like all the locks, all the chimes, like everything was all Final Fantasy VII, and I made my own like graphical interface for it and stuff too.
Whoa.
Not quite PC, but I used the PC version of a game, so it's close enough.
I'll be pretty quick. My favorite hardware mod isn't too exciting because I'm not huge into modding. I wish I was better at it. But when I put together my first custom water-cooled system known as Hotline, I had to do a lot of spray painting and sort of get used to spray painting and figure out like the best way to do it because I had never really worked with it before. And I remember just going into my garage and hanging up like a string line, basically across like 2 unused dressers and hanging like the thermal armor of my Asus TUF motherboard, X99 motherboard, up there, and I just went to town and spray painted for like the whole day, even though it probably should have taken 5 minutes. So now both of those dressers are half gray, but the system came out awesome, and I was really happy with the results. What's that? Yeah, worth it. Totally worth it. Software mods, actually, when I was like in middle school or maybe high school, I had an iPod Touch, and I basically photoshopped a custom icon for every single app in game, or every app that I had on there. I think like half the apps were just like different versions of my face. And I remember just people would freak out and be like, is that you? That's weird. But I got a huge kick out of it.
Well, let me start. Well, I think I'm not too big on modding like you. So right now I'm trying to RGB everything on my desktop. So that's a project going on. That's my favorite part of my current PC life right now. Software-wise, I think modding games, I think most of us here have done so in one way or another, some more than others. I myself, I think Oblivion, not Morrowind, but Oblivion, I modded so hard that I think the Golden Horse armor was the most sober thing of the game. That was pretty nice.
In terms of hardware mods, well, the biggest one for me would be the time I tried to mod an Xbox 360 into, a gaming PC. I got a Z87 Mini ITX motherboard. All the parts. I was researching, airflow and PCIe risers, the smallest power supplies you can imagine. And I learned how to use a Dremel. I'm just going to briefly interject and say that I hate, with a burning passion, the latches that Microsoft uses on the Xbox 360. They can go die in a fire. Anyways, the project was a total failure, but the PC lives on, in a proper case this time. Software mods, most of it would be work-related. And mostly would be just, digging really deep into Windows and, tweaking it to actually do what I want it to do. Because with Windows 10, that's hard. That's really hard. Microsoft, make it better.
Thank you for your question. For the sake of time, just for all you guys asking questions, you just say who the question is directed towards, or if it's for everybody, you could say everybody, but if nobody wants to answer, you don't have to, but yeah.
How's it going, guys? My question is for the 3 on the right over here. Do you think that with the release of Ryzen in the past year and the level of IPCs and clock speed it's at, are we going to see improvements in the coming year with the release of Ryzen 2? And do you think that AMD throwing their hat in the ring again is going to increase some competition in the CPU market and maybe wake Intel up a little bit and replace their toothpaste Tim? I have a Ryzen 1700X.
Oh, Kyle, you're probably under embargo.
I might be.
You work at AMD. I do neither of those things. The answer is yes, there is an improvement, and check back on April 19th when our review goes live.
Oh. Thanks, guys.
Yep.
Thank you.
This question is for the guys on the left. For your graphics card, AMD or NVIDIA?
Sorry, can you repeat that? No, I really... I really didn't hear.
AMD or NVIDIA?
Oh, goodness. Wherever gives you the best bang for the buck at the specific time. I mean, you know what you can spend, you know what you are trying to achieve, and I don't really think it should be a fanboy for any of them or any brand at all. You should buy whatever is best for you at that specific time, which may be different later on, but just choose what's better right now.
Basically, what Pedro said. Practically speaking, I've mostly been NVIDIA. But with my next rebuild, I'm planning on going red-green. AMD CPU and the current GPU I'm using. Yeah.
When I was younger and more naive, I would switch back and forth. It would be based on whatever the last unit I had that failed. So at some point, the graphics card doesn't work anymore, or it's not as good. And then I would say, no, I'm not doing that again. I'm going to go to the other side. And I went back and forth for years. Currently, I'm on NVIDIA, but I'm probably going to be switching to AMD as soon as Kevin over there gives me a discount. Please? Okay, never mind.
Thank you.
We'll see.
Hi, this is a question for you, Kevin. Last year at PAX, I was the one wearing the AMD hat at the Intel booth. It was on Reddit, and it had like 4,000 upvotes. I never got a check for that. Where is that?
I'll connect you with our finance team. They're much nicer than I am.
On a more serious question, though, this is for all of you. Like, what's your stance on like brand loyalty? Like, basically, like, I personally hate like how people put like AMD versus NVIDIA or AMD versus Intel. Like, what are your stances on
that? So many questions you can't answer, specifically you. I have nothing wrong with people having a preference. I think it's good to share your preferences with other people because that might inspire them or influence them to make a decision that works for them. But I think it's at the point when you start feeling superior over somebody else's choice. I think that's some of the toxicity that can exist in the community that we typically try to do without. So yeah, tell people that you're proud of your hardware and be computer hardware. And don't knock them for using their choice of hardware just because it works for them. So.
Yeah, I think Pedro feels the same way, and you can say if you don't. But yeah, you definitely don't. You don't ever want to knock somebody for what they don't have or for what they do have even. As far as me, I work really hard to inspire brand loyalty, and I think it's an opinion of everyone at Corsair that loyalty is earned. So we want people to be loyal, but if we don't earn it, what good is that? So we work really hard at that.
That's true. You should be loyal to the people who treat you well. If you're happy, why not stay? But I think that any specific time, you have to study the market and see what's the best choice for you, because it can change like every other week. We've seen lately, unfortunately, with the GPU prices, and we know that. Although you might have a preference,
you brought it up.
And many people do have a preference, sometimes the grass may be greener on the other side. But if you're happy and you're content and if you are treated well, why not stay?
Thank you. Yeah.
Wait.
So you guys mentioned before that PC has a hard time advertising versus consoles because PCs are a lot of different parts while consoles are like a finished product. What do you think about firms like Microsoft releasing prepared gaming rigs in the future? This is directed to anybody.
Wouldn't that be just the same as a pre-built, like a pre-built machine, or?
I wasn't aware we already had those.
Well, yeah, so you can get for instance, Corsair makes something called the Corsair One, and it's an entire machine that comes ready to play games. You just install what games you want on it. So, but those are called pre-builts, and the PC community there's a little bit of a split. There's some people who, they really don't like pre-builts, and I think it's because they really, really love building their PCs, and they think doing anything else would be not as good or maybe more expensive. Then there's people who like pre-builts because it's easier. So yeah, that exists. I think really the point that was made was that there's no such thing as an ad for PC gaming by itself, which when he said that, who said that again? Yeah, when Kyle said that, I immediately wrote down, I was like, we should start making ads just for PC gaming. And just trying to start thinking what that would look like and how we could get that on the internet.
There actually is an example of PC advertising, and Kevin, he probably knows a bit more about it than I do, but around E3, there's the PC Gaming Show, hosted by AMD, and it's pretty much the closest thing that you get to, say, the Microsoft conference or the Sony conference. Yeah, it's not really for a specific product per se, but it does focus entirely on PC gaming. They don't take, what's the words? They make sure that you know it's for PC. And, you know, maybe toss out what hardware you might be able to work with, you know, stuff like that.
Thank you.
Also for you specifically, since you didn't know pre-builds exist, there's like two ends of things. Look at like companies like Dell, HP, etc. All have gaming PC lines, all have these great things. And then the other end, and you can see a lot of these at the AMD booth here at PAX East. But there's also what we call system integrators, and these are guys who, like AMD, for example, we provide, you know, all of our like the stuff that you would buy on a shelf, like our Ryzen processors and the graphics cards and whatnot. They go to these system integrators and they use those parts to build, you know, custom gaming PCs basically that you have options to, and you can look at those. So you can basically order a built custom PC like as if you built it yourself. So that option exists.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, guys. This story. Sorry, just going. I'm so tired right now. Sorry. This question is directly to Steve from Gamers Nexus. By any chance, do you see Luke from Latest Tech Tips? Was he here? Do you saw him by chance?
He is here.
Wait, float plane.
Yeah.
Whatever. Were you able to brag your Tiny V overclock? That was very nice.
There may be a hashtag RipLTT2 stream at some point. We spoke with some of the people down on the floor from Watercool and from AlphaCool and anyone who makes things involving the word cool, and they're making sure that there will be a hashtag RipLTT2. I don't know if they're going to respond to us though, but that doesn't mean I can't just respond twice to my to my own challenge.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
This is just a question for George. How well are you able to see through those glasses?
They're kind of like Phoenician blinds, so I can just see right through them. I see you perfectly. So, but it's very beneficial when I'm at like busy meetings and I'm kind of getting bored and falling asleep. They can't tell. So yeah.
Well, thank you.
Actually, and these are made by Mesatech, who is actually a Redditor. So yeah.
Hey everyone, my question is for Kyle. So like, what is like what video, like review, build video or review video have you had the most fun working on, and why?
That's a tough one. We do a lot of fun videos from time to time. Well, just because she's telling me not to, I have to say it now. I taught my wife how to build a computer while I was drunk one time. That was as much fun for me as it was miserable for her. And I'll always have fond memories creating that. Partial memories.
Cool, thank you.
Hello? Okay. This question is for Kevin. Hi, by the way. Long time no see.
We went to college together.
Yes. Last time I saw Kevin, he was doing LAN parties for EGS at RIT. We both went there. Kevin, I have a question for you, though. I had this shower thought at one point, kind of a horrifying realization. I was working on my computer one day, and I was looking at the news articles about, you know, the Steam box and Gabe Newell's attempt with that. And I was thinking to myself, oh my God. Because I've sometimes seen people on PCMR or other places get flack because, oh, you're a Mac user, or you're a Linux user. And I thought to myself, oh my God, are we all shills for Microsoft? Because when you think about it, Windows dominates everything, and I'm just thinking to myself, like, are we all just perpetuating the Microsoft monopoly? And then Gabe comes along, and now we're all like, oh, let's switch to Steam box and get another one. Commentary.
I think when it comes to PC gaming, I think, at least for those of us who are into it for gaming, we're shills for the games.
Right.
You know, we're shills for the games we love, and obviously those games are supported on platforms that they, you know, choose to support them on. So a lot of those tend to be Windows or the console platforms, which why there's that contention between there and PC gaming and whatnot. But otherwise, you know, as I think Pedro has talked about, it's all about, you know, what we're into and whatnot. And I mean, like, for example, I'm into getting paychecks, so I shill for AMD.
Speaking of which, when are you banning Bitcoin miners from buying your products?
There's the real question.
We all knew that question was coming at some point, so.
So, why is Alienware so disliked in the PC community? Just because it's overpriced? Is there like more to it?
Why is Alienware disliked? Having worked at Dell, which now owns Alienware, Alienware just, I think earlier on, before they had a lot of competition from like CyberPower, IYPower, Origin, all the other SIs, they were kind of out there on their own for gaming. And so they were able to charge a premium, and they didn't have a lot of competition, and that's how capitalism works. I think that has, that reputation has followed them, and it's sort of the assumption that Alienware overcharges at this point. And sadly, I think that reputation also has spilled over to other SIs. We're talking about pre-builts earlier. Some of the pre-builts, if you don't want to build your own system, they're really only like $100 or $200 more than if you part it out yourself, which is not bad to hire someone to build a computer for you. Alienware remains very expensive, but they attach that price to their brand ID, and that's how they value their brand, and they want to be perceived as the best, and oftentimes consumers perceive the most expensive as the best.
Yeah, because I like Alienware, and I told my friends, and they were like bashing on me for that.
That's
because they had like CyberPower and other.
Completely valid to own any of them. They're all, I mean, at the end of the day, it's all parts made by either this guy or his competitors. So, you know, how much hand do they really have in it?
Thank you.
Can I get those in prescription?
When I start to lose my vision, I'll let you know.
Okay. On a serious note, I see a lot of warning signs in terms of stuff getting locked down. I got into PC because you had a lot of freedom. You could overclock, get different components, do what you wanted. You could break stuff. It happened. But things have gotten more controlled. You get voltage limits that you can't really go over in graphics cards. The 1070 Ti, none of them overclocked out of the factory. Private servers for video games have started to disappear. Do you think that's just the way things are going to have to go now, or are these warning signs that we're going to see more things get locked down in the future, or do you think that things will bounce back? I don't know. Steve, you're very technical. Do you have any comments?
I think, well, there's one thing we were talking about a while ago. iFixit has a campaign they run about, I think it's right to repair. So just on the physical hardware side, at a government level, which is way above anything we can do here, at a government level, there's discussion of locking down, taking things apart and violating warranties and stuff like that. There's some debate whether MSI or any of the other brands can stick a sticker on a box that says warranty void if removed, particularly if you have to remove the thing to do something like replace a battery. So yes, there is a very large concern that things are getting more locked down for me on a hardware level, because that impacts my audience and my ability to do business. on that side, stay involved and look up right to repair laws and if they apply in your state and what you can do about it, because you do want that right to open your hardware. And then on the software side, Microsoft controls everything, so good luck, I guess.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So we have about 5 minutes left, so I'd love to get all your questions in, so if we can power through these answers and these questions, and we can get them all in, so.
Hello.
Awesome glasses, by the way.
2 comments, 1 question. I have a bachelor's degree in IT. I know your pain, I'm sorry. Nice glasses. Which comes to my 3rd question. Does RGB matter?
Yes.
That's another controversial question.
No. I mean, everybody knows, depending on what color you have them set to, it can make your PC go faster or run at cooler temps. The honest answer to that, though, is does fancy shoes matter? Does makeup or nice clothes or music matter? It's a matter of personal taste and preference. Follow what you like and follow what you love. With all the marketing I've done for RGB, which I'm wearing it to my head and to my toes. You can't see my feet, but I'm wearing RGB shoes.
He is.
And even though that's the case, that's for me. And I don't think that's necessarily going to be for everybody. That's why we have options. If you don't want RGB, fine, get it and set all the lights to white. That's fine, or whatever it is you want. So yeah, it's all about choice. We still make components without RGB because we know it's not for everybody, and that's fine. That's what, as Pedro said, that's what PC gaming is all about, is that idea of choice, and we want to give as many choices as possible. And when your glasses come in RGB, please tell me, because I want to buy them.
Yeah, those are really cool.
All right.
Thank you.
Quick question for Steve. Do you get a lot of pressure from people who give hardware to you to do positive reviews, and what's sort of the blowback that you get if you give a really nasty review of something, referencing the recent Cooler Master video where just sort of the case disintegrates and has terrible airflow, and what was sort of the reaction to that?
Well, we bought the H500P mesh, so I think that answers that part of the question. That was not sent to me.
Okay. Are you sort of off their list now?
Yeah. I mean, it's fine. In effort of keeping it short, I just answered a really similar question in our Ask GN, not to self-promote, but there's like a 10-minute answer there. Okay. And the short of it is, I don't know if it's pressure to give a positive review, but there's wink, wink, nudge, nudge. You know what's going to happen if you give an excessively negative review. And as long as I see it as fair, I don't really care. I mean, I bought a Titan V. I can buy a computer case.
Thank you. Last question.
All right. What's your guys' opinion, this is for everybody, on the GeForce participation program and how they're kind of turning the screws on the industry in terms of their gaming brands, and when is AMD going to come out with
Poor Kevin.
Hey, don't get too low down there.
When's AMD going to come out with a graphics card that can top like a Volta or even a 1080 Ti or like
Oh my God.
Ouch. We gave our whole timeline at CES. That's all I can say.
Yeah, as far as I know, like, nothing's been 100% confirmed about GPP, but if that were the case, I don't think it would be ideal for the manufacturers as well as the consumer, because, you know, like, branding is important, I think, if you're trying to sell units. You know, people who don't really know computer hardware or who are just getting into it, they're going to go for what they think is the best based on the brand sometimes. You know, if they don't know to look up benchmarks or go to Steve's channel first, they're going to look at the box that says gaming and has like the cool dragon on it, as opposed to the one that looks really plain and simple. It probably doesn't do as much. It won't excite you as much. And if GPP is really all that it's touted to be, then you know, that could really hurt everyone involved, I think. And it just limits your options, and it seems a bit deceiving to me. So I hope it's not true.
We're still talking to people about GPP. This is something that takes a long time to look into. The original story from Kyle from Hard OCP, he talked himself about how it took a couple of weeks to get all the answers, and that was dropped on obviously all of us at the same time as you, so it's taking me weeks to get answers as well. And now that the story's out there, it's also difficult to distinguish which answers I'm getting are genuine and which ones have been impacted by either political dealings in the industry or by the original story. Because a lot of the people I talk to, I'll get phrases that are exactly from Kyle's article. And at that point, I don't know if they're just trying to act like they know something or if they actually do and it is exactly in line with what he said. So it gets really tricky to navigate that. And without anything concrete either way from a first party, it's hard for me to break the story further. We're trying to, though. I'd agree with Kyle in that as it's been presented, if the presentation of it is accurate, then there is a problem. And we just need to figure out if it has been presented accurately.
Cool, thank you. So this is PCMR's 7th birthday that we were celebrating, and we were in fact supposed to have cake delivered here, but there was a problem with the delivery. I think maybe because of the snow. Oh, it is here.
It was a lie.
Well, we'll have to just celebrate afterwards. After party. So the cake was in fact a lie for this presentation, but thank you guys so much for coming out, and thank you to you guys for...
If you have those cards, make sure to bring them to the Corsair booth so we can get you one of those pins. If you're not going to be here tomorrow to turn those in, like if you only have a Friday badge, that's fine. Meet us outside. We're going to be giving the pins to anyone who has the card filled out. I have a pen, and we're going to be eating cake and answering any leftover questions. Oh my God, is that the cake? What? All right. So there's cake outside, also pins. Thanks, guys.
So the lie was